Welcome to today's podcast concerning problem geometry and how it relates to our modeling workflow. We'll just bring back Merck again, and you can see he's not afraid of the issue of problem geometry. He says, bring it on. And I'm going to have you guys learn some things so that you can feel the same way when it comes to handling some of the issues that crop up in our modeling workflow. Why do we worry about it? And there are a few reasons why. We want to make sure that, for one, we want to make sure that our problem geometry doesn't create smoothing, lighting, or UV or texturing errors. And a lot of these can show up at different parts of the pipeline. Same thing in the animation part, where you have animation rigging and binding issues. So problem geometry can get in there and muck up the works. A big one while you're modeling is certain tools don't work well. Sometimes when you have problem geometry, you have a tool that you expect to work and it doesn't, and we don't want that to happen. We also want to make sure that we don't impact our deadlines by running into crashes all the time because of problem geometry. One of the recent advents with digital printing is that you need to have good, clean topology to be able to get it to digitally print. The rendering gets slower sometimes when you have accumulated issues. And finally, can cause non-optimal performance in other software packages. So again, a good example would be trying to bring in problem geometry into a package like Mudbox, which is very sensitive to the issue of problem geometry while you're working. Well, clean topology. Well, there are benefits to trying to keep your topology clean, and it's usually the reverse of the issues that crop up. For one thing, the surface of your model will have much better quality to it. So just visually, you won't see as many surface artifacts because of some of the formations that occur with problem geometry and how they impact how things look. When you're animating deformation of models, the deformation of the models are improved. So definitely you want to see things bending the way they should without any weird kinks coming from problem geometry. UV mapping is easier, definitely. You won't have any issues with, nearly as many issues with UV mapping. Texturing shows up better, and you're also going to have an issue where the tools are predictable and actually work because problem geometry has been cleaned up and you have a very safe environment for tools to work. And Maya is less likely to crash as a result. It's not foolproof, obviously. There are other issues that can cause Maya to crash, but let's not make it problem geometry. Let's aim for working clean where possible. All right. Now, some of the causes of problem geometry, well, let's face it. A lot of you guys are still learning Maya. So not understanding what Maya likes in clean topology, well, you can remedy this. All right. Human error is the most common, though, and a lot of times that definitely shows up. So you're kind of on your own here, and that can come in the form of just deleting edges improperly. That could come from zoning out while you're working. That could distractions and lack of sleep. Also, they can come from places like, just the old bevel tool prior to 2016 made non-manifold geo and n-gons, and it's not the case in 2016. They did a good job of improving that, but if you happen to be in an older version of Maya, that older bevel tool will definitely give you some problem geometry issues, especially with two segmented bevels. Merging separate pieces of geometry can mix up normal directions. Face it, in the process of creating complexity for your models, you can mix the geo up, and one of the things you can do to prevent that is by making sure that when you're working, you have the ability to see your surface direction. That would be unchecking two-sided shading under the view panel in the windows. And that will allow you to see which direction are your normals. And then finally, Booleans not properly cleaned up, that's definitely a problem. And you can run into issues there where the Boolean if you just do a Boolean without cleaning it up, you're just asking for problems. Not being careful with your multi-cut tool. Again, just things like that where you're in a hurry or you're not doing the cleanup following up with that could definitely create issues And just doing something as silly as extruding without pulling on the face while you're doing it, or without pulling on an edge, you can definitely wind up leaving little artifacts that you don't even realize while working.